What's up with craft in Lutsk? Spoiler, everything's good here.
And it's so good that because of the number of interesting craftsmen and craftswomen, we didn't even have time to shoot the opening intro.
Well, let's start with the symbol of the city, the Lutsk Castle. Yes, there's a craft workshop here too.
I'm Victor, and I'm a candle maker.
Art. I have a lot of candles, but this one, it's a work of art. It would even feel a bit sad to light it. How do they come to life for you?
Actually, I already have some color palettes worked out. When I take the base, I already have an idea of what it should be. For example, here is a rainbow one from violet to red. But you can also improvise.
Listen, it's a shame to light it. That's what people usually say. Well, you can just put it on display. It's a work of art.
More like a decorative element, as a gift, as a souvenir for the interior, if someone likes that style. You can use 2 colors, or 3 colors, 4 colors. You can use all 8 colors. You can create shades by mixing one color with another.
And does the price depend on that?
No, the work is the same. The layering happens the same way. It doesn't matter how many colors, whether it's 2 colors or 8 colors. I need about 30 layers to do about 30 dips like that. There were people who came and said, when the lights went out, we didn't have any other candles, only yours. We lit it and everyone sat and cried.
Tell me, please, how long have you been doing this?
Do you want a legend? A legend? The castle one, right? When I was born, I was very small. I had just learned to hold my back straight. They sat me down and said, Victor, make a candle. I couldn't speak yet. I couldn't say, I won't make a candle. I started making candles.
How hard is it to learn this?
It all depends on your skills. If a person has done handicrafts, knitted, embroidered, sculpted, then you can learn very quickly. Here, it's carving and sculpting.
I see you've written something about a masterclass. Should we give it a try?
Don't just try, get up and do it.
We get up and do it. All right.
If we start from the very beginning, the base is poured. There are molds, and paraffin is poured into the mold. When it hardens, we get a candle. A blank, different sizes.
Different colors.
Well, the color, yeah, that's not so important. For example, the excess material left over during the process is then remelted and becomes a candle. Just a different color comes out. Here we have paraffin. It arrives in these chunks.
Is this some kind of special paraffin?
This special cosmetic paraffin is used in cosmetology, the food industry, and medicine. Not all paraffin is suitable for such applications. It needs to be elastic. This is a special grade of paraffin, and besides that, it is purified, bleached, doesn't smoke, doesn't soot, and doesn't release any harmful substances. When we have the blank ready, that's when the real show begins. A water bath. The heating element heats the water melts the paraffin, the working temperature is around 60 degrees. Have you decided what colors you're going to make the candle? You can use more colors, because when we start carving, the more colors there are, the more interesting it will be.
I just dip it and that's it, right?
Let's start, for example, with white. The first time, we dip it for 10 to 15 seconds, so the base warms up. We take it out and cool it down.
Pink!
Yes, you can feel it again. If there are drops of water left, just wipe them off as well.
To be honest, I'm not really thinking anymore. I'm just dipping. I'm just curious about the different colors.
Yeah. And I'm always curious on when someone else makes a candle, what colors they'll use and how it's going to look on the cut.
This process is so meditative, you just sit and enjoy it.
Yeah, there's no need to rush here. Just enjoy the process. While the paraffin is still warm, it's flexible. You can twist it, mold it, or squeeze it.
Can this be a decorative element? You can do that later. Let's continue. What did we have here?
Green, blue. Let's go with red.
All this is the last part, so that it will be pure white. Now we'll cut off all the excess. And we make a cut. Cut it, bend it a little, twist it with your fingers. The next edge. That's strange. Nice, good, yeah, a cosmic flower.
Not done yet?
We put on the mold, make sure the wick is centered, and press it in about halfway into the mold. We need to cut through that layer of colored paraffin and remove it. We wiggle it and pull it out. Well, that's beautiful. That's it, a candle.
But from a business perspective, is it profitable now?
Actually, yes. Candle making is profitable, but for me it's a craft rather than a business. And I come in every day, make a candle so that I have a variety on the shelves so people can choose something.
How do you get the cuts to be the same cuts? The pattern of these cuts is the same. I have one like this, another like that, and the third one is thick.
Consistently making candles for 10 years will make you a master. As a beginner, your results will vary from one attempt to the next. But the sequence, step by step, that's what gives you the skill.
Wow. I see different techniques here too. Here is one long cut, and after that, it's twisted.
That's what you were twisting. Only yours was small, but if you do it along the entire length of the candle...
A work of art? Damn, nothing less.
We are sisters Elena and Alexandra, and we make bean to bar chocolate.
Girls, tell me, please, you work with chocolate, but you're so slim. Don't you eat your own chocolate or what? What's going on?
We eat a lot of our chocolate. It's just that good chocolate has good fats. If you eat as much as you need in moderation, about 20 grams a day, we eat more than 20 grams a day, we eat more.
And is it possible to consume 20 grams a day?
The recommended dose, 20 grams of dark chocolate per day for a person.
And how much is here?
Half of this bar. Then tell me, why is your chocolate so delicious?
What makes our chocolate special? It's special because we make it from terroir cocoa beans. These are certain cocoa beans that grow in unique geographic microclimates. And they have the status of fine flavor cacao. That means it's special cocoa from small farmers, which we then roast ourselves, process ourselves, and make chocolate from it.
Terroir cocoa beans. Is there really a difference depending on where they grow?
Yes, a very big one. To understand this, we need to dive into the history of cocoa, even if just for a minute. Cocoa is a plant, a tree. Its homeland is South America. From there, it was brought to other continents, particularly to Africa, by European colonizers. Spanish conquistadors came to America and took cocoa from there. And when they realized that this cocoa could be tasted and consumed there, they decided that they could make money from it. And in order to make money, it had to be grown in very large quantities. For example, it's like with blueberries. It's hard to grow if you plant it like that. Bilberries are planted there, while blueberries grow in forests. A separate variety called Forastero was developed for this purpose. Today, almost 90% of the world's chocolate products are Forastero. What makes it special? It doesn't get sick as much, it grows well, and the fruits are large, and you can grow a lot of them. But it's bitter, it's not aromatic, and it doesn't taste at all like the cocoa that was originally exported.
So you're making it from the original, so to speak.
You could say it's been slightly altered from the original. That is, we buy cocoa where it is grown without any special interventions in the genetics or the varieties. And yes, this cocoa is simply not yet known to people. It's a terroir product. Now, for example, in the Ukrainian market, it's easier to understand if you compare it to coffee. There is specialty coffee, so we make specialty chocolate or chocolate from specialty cocoa beans. In the world, such cocoa beans make up about 7 to 10% of global production. That's what makes it special. Because yes, we have different kinds of chocolate. There's milk chocolate, there are candies. But if you look at our line of dark chocolate, which we focus on and promote, our chocolate bars are labeled with origins like Dominicana, Tanzania, Baileys, Madagascar. And when you taste classic dark chocolate, each one will be different. There are only 2 ingredients there, cocoa beans and a bit of cane sugar. And when you eat Tanzania, it will have a tangy note with an aftertaste of apple, pear and citrus, If you eat Dominican chocolate, it will be more wine-like, more astringent, with notes of juniper or maybe oak. It's the same as with wine, exactly the same. That's what makes this kind of chocolate special. There are far fewer producers like this in the world overall. By the way, in the last 5 to 10 years, this trend has been observed in Europe. There's been an increase in this kind of chocolate. It's called bean to bar, from bean to bar. And not only do we indicate the country, we know the farms where this cocoa is purchased, we know how it's harvested, how it's processed. There's also a problem in the world right now with the use of slave labor and child labor. It hasn't gone away.
Accordingly, this is present in poor African countries.
These cocoa beans are much more expensive since they make up only 7% of the world's supply, and they also have certain qualities.
So if you compare, for example, the price of consumer cocoa, the kind that Olena mentioned, the Forastero variety, if the simpler one costs less than $1, then here the purchase price is 10 times higher. 7, 10, depending on the type, and even 12. 7, 8, 9, $10 per kilogram. Some even cost 15.
But is it really worth it? Truly worth it? So if I take a Russian chocolate bar and your chocolate bar, will I really feel the difference? Is it worth paying extra?
Yes, it depends on what you're looking for. You can go to the supermarket and choose wine. You can buy wine for 100 hryvnias, 200 hryvnias, 500 hryvnias, or even 2,000 hryvnias. It all depends on your expectations from this wine, I agree. It's the same with chocolate, understanding it and wanting to experience its unique flavor and terroir, similar to wine, coffee, and other craft products. The taste of chocolate is the taste of the beans from which the bar is made. And accordingly, all the manipulations that were done to them on the farm. We receive a bag of cocoa beans, we select the roasting process, and we do 3 or 4 different tests. We see that here we need to raise it a little, and here we need to lower it by 1 degree. So, depending on the temperature and these roasting nuances, the taste can change. Some notes open up, for example, cherry notes, while other notes disappear. The acidity increases or decreases. And that's how we choose this flavor profile.
And how long have you been doing this?
We've been growing together for 3 years. For 3 years, we've been gradually developing our family business.
And what does it mean to be together for 3 years?
I started making chocolate at home. It all began in my kitchen. The first cocoa beans were roasted, although before I roasted my first beans, I was actually making that chocolate we talked about from cocoa mass. But I was really curious about what chocolate is actually made from, what cocoa mass is made of. I started looking for a lot of information about cocoa beans and found out that they are different. That there are not only taste differences, but also really philosophical and social aspects. And these cocoa beans actually differ so much in taste, and I found 1 kilogram in Europe. At that time, I remember I paid $180 for 1 kilogram of beans. It was very expensive. I roasted these cocoa beans at home and peeled them by hand, as it's very challenging to do so at home. You need special equipment to clean cocoa beans, and at best, you could make 2 kilograms of chocolate in a week. I started looking for clients and telling people about my product. At that time, my sister, who is also a creative person, was working with cosmetics. She had a very good craft cosmetics workshop in Lutsk. And I used to go and bring my chocolate to her to sell there. She helped me find clients, and after work she would come to me to have some good chocolate. Olena and I always talked about how we wanted to work together, how we wanted to create something together, and we decided that the direction we would develop together would be chocolate.
Yes, I like chocolate much more conceptually. Because, for example, when I was making cosmetics, there are a lot of components in cosmetics, and it's very hard to find something that is traceable, where I know exactly where it came from. But chocolate is a very social and philosophical product, because it only has a few components, not many, and we can trace the entire chain, who the producer is, from the cocoa bean and where we buy the sugar. You can make good chocolate anywhere if you have, first, a strong desire to do it. Second, you'll have the raw materials, you'll find them. And third, the equipment. That's why this field is developing so slowly, because it's not something you can just make at home, like what's popular now, right? You bought it, melted it down, and you can do all that at home, but not here. At home, you can shell a large amount by hand, but it takes a very long time. Your whole family would have to sit not making dumplings, but shelling cocoa beans. But you still won't have a melange machine to process them. And even for home use, it costs 20 to 25,000 hryvnias, and very few people can afford that. And this melange has to run non-stop for 3 days. At home, you can't turn it off.
That's how it was for me. My neighbors likely adored me.
Do you hear that sound?
Yes, I hear it.
Yes, it's making noise even though it's small.
Sasha had an incredible desire to do it.
How much does the chocolate bar cost?
The price for these ranges from 156 hryvnias for a 50-gram one to 185 hryvnias for a 70-gram one, with some costing up to 200 hryvnias.
Have people started to understand the difference? Is there an increase in demand, interest? What's happening with that?
Yes, we're actually very happy about that right now. We see the response and we see the interest. We see it the most when we travel. We've just started going to different fairs, offering tastings. When you stand with a person, tell them the whole story, explain the value of the product, the philosophy, and let them taste it, yes. This is an ordinary mill with millstones inside that grind. We pour crushed cocoa beans here. I'll show you what they look like.
Ah, delicious.
We pour the roasted, crushed, and cleaned cocoa beans into a machine where they are ground into a paste. The shell removed from the beans is called cocoa husk.
Well, I can't say it's not tasty. It's tasty. It's a tasty superfood. This is Dominicana and Madagascar. See, this one is more brown, and here the edges are lighter.
Oh, this one is really rich. The beans are different, and the taste of chocolate is different, but the flavor is carried by the sugar.
Adding sugar reveals the flavor. This is already a production melange.
It has a capacity of 30 kilograms. So in 3 days, we can make 30 kilograms of chocolate in this machine.
Why does it take so much time to mix? It's being ground.
Because there's sugar, we add sugar, cocoa nibs, we add sugar, and it grinds for 3 days. When it's being ground, it heats up, cocoa butter is released, it lubricates the stones, the natural cocoa butter that's in there, and that's how chocolate is made. And it gets ground down to about 15 to 20 microns, and we can't feel those particles in our mouths anymore. When we dissolve this in our mouths, we taste the flavors.
Can I try?
Yes, but not like that.
I'm joking.
That's it for now. Bring the Corvalol.
Wow. These are stone millstones. Really, it grinds? I thought it was like a mixer in there.
No. One spins one way, the other spins the other way, and the bowl itself also spins. The millstones and bottom are made of granite. This is called hot chocolate. Straight from the mill, you will be the first to taste chocolate from this batch.
Really? Yes.
We know.
This thing is expensive, right?
Yes, this cart costs 13,000 euros. And over there, we have the chocolate being poured. The girls are pouring it right now.
Hello, ladies. Would you like some chocolate? I see. I noticed there are the time and humidity displayed up there. Is that important?
It should be cold here and not humid. If there's too much humidity, the chocolate gets streaks and nothing works out. You have to redo it. When pouring chocolate, chocolate doesn't like water at all. That's why, for example, it's impossible to make chocolate in mélangeurs with different syrups. Everything will just stick to it. There are acceptable humidity standards. Even when washing dishes like molds, it's done on separate days from when chocolate is being poured, despite having a dishwasher.
It causes graying and those really white, unattractive streaks.
I know that first they heat up this mold, right?
The mold is kept in a room where it's 18 degrees, so it's cold. If you pour the chocolate onto the mold right away, it sets quickly, and that also affects the appearance. That's why the mold shouldn't be cold, it should be warm. That's why you take the cold mold, warm it up with a hairdryer, and quickly pour the chocolate in.
These processes must occur rapidly. The mixture is then refrigerated for about 20 minutes to cool quickly.
That's it. You take it out, and then you can wrap the chocolate in foil and put it away in trays. And then we take it out there for external packaging.
And is it packed there?
We do everything in-house here, including the packaging. Have a piece of our chocolate.
It's so interesting to hear about different terroirs.
Let's open two, try one first, then the other. Take a piece, put it on your tongue, and suck on it slowly. Don't chew it, you can bite it just a little once, but the idea is not to chew or swallow. You let it dissolve and move it around your taste buds. The ingredients here are cocoa beans and cane sugar.
There's a tanginess, a fruity note. That's from the cocoa beans, from the terroir. It's really cool how it unfolds.
At first, it's one flavor, then another, and it should have a long-lasting aftertaste. We recommend tasting chocolate separately from coffee or tea because it's not just a treat to have with your coffee or tea. It's about a self-sufficient product that has its own taste, aftertaste, and aroma.
How much is here? There's no bitterness. 72? Not bitter at all.
Good aromatic cocoa beans have that feature. I'm curious about your thoughts on this one. Tell me what notes you sense, and I won't mention them.
There's some acidity too.
It's here too. Herbs, gin, juniper.
I prefer cherry. Cherry. Well, something like that. Cherry wine.
Cherry because it's cherry wine. There are red berries, fruits in this chocolate.
This one is stranger to me, more sour. Yes, this one is more sour. It's quite interesting.
This is more like chocolate. There's something in it. It takes me from cherry to mushrooms.
The multifaceted nature of the chocolate makes it a delightful experience, with its taste leaving you impressed and satisfied.
And who makes your labels? They look so stylish. Well done.
A designer fulfills our wishes, but we always say that we do it ourselves because almost all the ideas, all the designs, all the developments are ours.
I handle the design, and Elena manages the finances and calculations.
Demochka, try this one. It's just amazing.
I am Dimitro, and I make traditional musical instruments. Calm down, calm down. Darth Vader is about to come out.
So tell us, where are we? We're in Lutsk, in Volyn, and here we make musical instruments, traditional ones and all sorts of different kinds. So show us, tell us about it.
Let's start with the horns, probably. This one is called the Volyn horn. Why is it called a horn? Because there's a horn here. It's a reed instrument, not a whistle, and it works like this.
I thought it was more of a Carpathian or Hutsul instrument from that region, but it's actually from Volyn.
We have a lot of reeds, bulrushes, and reeds are great. Now, since it's hard to get horns these days, I make some out of wood, and they look more medieval, I would say. And we also have pipes, a lot of pipes. Take the Dudka kolinka, for example. It's notably made from buckthorn, which is a really cool shrub.
This thing blooms, this shrub buckthorn. When the buckthorn blooms, the horns start to appear.
Exactly.
Who is giving us a hint?
Sorry.
You know how restaurants have seasonal dishes? It's the same with trees. There are seasonal trees that are harvested only in the summer. You take a branch, tap it, pull out the core, and the bark comes off like a tube. We take the branch, split it in half, remove the inside, and put the bark back on. And it kind of held together instead of glue. Policia technologies. There, and now we already have this thing. It's the same in Rivne region, in Volyn. Well, Policia, there was such a thing. It's called a Dudka Vikrutka. Why is it called that? Because that's a Dudka kolinka, and this is a Dudka Vikrutka, which means it twists apart. We have a pine tree. This is the top, like the top of the pine. We cut it off and look for the core, and then we twist it out. So we don't need to drill it. And basically, we end up with a tube. And the way we take it out, just like that, whoop, and it sounds cool. It's the same, this is a seasonal tree, because pine can be twisted out either in early spring or late autumn, just like now. So these are already autumn ones.
And is this their classic shape, that they're not round but faceted like this?
Yes, faceted. There is still one master alive in the Rivne region who still makes them, Herasima Karpovic. And now, from the people who learned from him, I'm already asking them about how things are done. We are reviving this lesser-known instrument that was once played by people in the villages.
Well, the sopilka is more or less clear. I see behind you there are also lyras and violins. What is this called? What is this, actually?
This is a reconstruction of the husli that I'm still working on from Zvenihorod Lviv region. These are the only husli that have been found on the territory of Ukraine, and only this part has survived. Right here, the top. And right now, I'm working on how to bring them into working condition so that they play well. But for now, this is how they are. They don't work very well yet, but it's a work in progress. This is my first lyre that I made. So, in terms of the body, it's like the one we have preserved in our local history museum. The lyre is called a wheel lyre because it has a wheel. Like big bees, but very controlled. Lyres are a lot of fun, but they take a long time to make. And I'm just learning and working on this. The same goes for volin. Do you think trembitas were only common in Hutsulshkina? No. This is called a ligava or ligavka. They were common in Volin and in Kolmshchina, which is now part of Poland. This is a shepherd's horn just for sending signals, like a telephone. And you can make sounds like this.
So the shepherds would signal when they needed something, to call each other.
And there's also a smaller version. This is also a Polician instrument. It's called a bekak. It makes a beck sound.
I've never seen anything like this before. Is this just bark wrapped together?
Yes, it's alder that's rolled into a tube from buckthorn, and the little tongue is made like this. When we blow air, it vibrates and makes a sound. So anyone could make it, like if you were herding cows somewhere, you could just find a poor tree and make this becker out of it.
And are these bagpipes?
Yes, bagpipes, cool. In Ukraine, we call it duda. It works like this. The bag is our third lung, so we inflate it and we fill the bag with air. And now I'm also trying to make this kind of medieval bagpipe.
Does the name Volinka have anything to do with Volin?
That was the name in the Russian Empire. There's a theory that they come from the Volyn province. We did have them, but the information has only been preserved in documents showing that we had bagpipers. But it's really funny that bagpipes are in Volyn. And you can play all kinds of medieval music on this one. It's very big, very loud. By the way, it's made from ash wood that grew near our castle and was almost 250 years old. You're sitting right behind it. These very parts of the trunk have a really cool texture. That's where it grew, and I'm just starting to make a violin out of it. It will be a hollowed out violin. That means a violin made from a single piece of wood, not glued together. And I also make flutes from it the same way. Like those traditional sopirkas.
That's good. And how did you end up with an ash tree?
I mean, I understand it's great that it wasn't burned, but how did you end up with it?
When it fell, I saw the news that it had fallen. And I thought, it would be really cool to make pipes out of it. And I went on my bike, took a friend with me, and we cut a couple of branches there. We love adventures. Then we made some of those pipes. And then it happened that I made a deal with the city council. They were distributing these pieces of wood among the craftsmen. And I took some parts for myself to make instruments. And I've already made about 70 flutes. And a bagpipe, and there will be a violin too. But flutes are the main thing, because there will be many of them for people just as a memory.
Listen, how do people react to the instruments? Do they buy them?
Mostly musicians, sometimes as gifts. Right now, I'm working on spreading this more, especially traditional instruments. Because it's really great that each region has its own instruments, or some related ones, for example, like the Rivne-Volyn region. Or in Hutsulshkina, they have their own, we have ours. And in Kiev, they have their own banduras.
It's more like a souvenir. I mean, people buy this dudka. Oh, cool, as a souvenir.
Or as musical instruments, because they all sound good when you play them.
These are musical instruments, but people's perceptions of them vary since everyone sees things differently. Some people can't play. And when I'm asked what to recommend to someone who can't play pipes, I say there's the Tylinka, you only need one finger for it.
And where did you study? Please tell me. I mean, to make sopilkas, I understand. And do you make violins too? That's a difficult thing to do.
Yeah, that's true. I'm learning to make violins now, because my great-grandfather used to make them. But I didn't know about it until I started making instruments myself. I found one that he made, it's kept in the museum in Pirohiv. I tried making some simple ones when I was in college studying wood carving. I even still have the very first flute I made. This is a plastic sewer pipe. The sound is cleaner than wood. Well, that's obvious, because plastic is smooth, super perfect, but wood is cooler. And I tried making them from these plastic pipes, and then I thought I should try making them from wood. I drilled, something didn't quite fit, but it's starting to work out.
In general, preserving these old authentic traditions and musical instruments, what does that give us?
Why restore and preserve them? I know it's a silly question, but the answer is interesting.
This is necessary so that people know who they are and first of all where they live and what they can use in everyday life. Because these are household instruments, they're not for concerts. When I think about a specific country, I immediately associate it with the musical instruments it has. And for me, it starts to stand out from other countries. In Poland, for example, they have these bagpipes, just like the Scottish ones, but theirs inflate like this, it's called a kozel. Each country has its own type of bagpipes. Ukraine had 2 or 3, but only the Hutzul version remains. Every country has its own instruments. We have them too, but they're not as well researched. That's my job. And how much does it cost? The average price now for small pipes is from 600. Bigger ones go for 800 and even bigger ones for 1,000. Ligavkas, I don't make them often, but sometimes I'm in the mood to saw and tinker, so 2 or 3 like that. Yes, it depends on the length and material. This one is linden. Here's another feature. Why do ligavkas have this particular shape and are they different from the trombita? Trombitas are wrapped with birch bark. Although they have the Hutzul horn, which looks almost identical, it is completely wrapped with birch bark, while ours are wrapped with pine roots. So you go to the forest, stick your hand into the sand, pull out a root, split it in half and wrap it around. It dries and becomes a kind of binding. So this is the root. Yes, these are pine roots split in half.
And have you ever tried to actually change something, replace it, modernize it?
Horns and bagpipes are actually the most capricious instruments in the world. Because of the materials of this chanter. Now I make chanters out of carbon, that is...
It's carbon coated with graphene. This thing right here? Yes, the reed.
Traditionally, they were made from reed, but now they use fiberglass. We can make one if you want, and also some kind of pipe. Let's do it with pleasure. The whistle. There. And without it, this horn just doesn't work. It's just a pipe with holes, and it's exactly this whistle that gives us the sound we need. You can tune it to whatever key you need. This one is in D major, and here there's a kind of capsule or cap, and we put it on so we don't put the whole whistle in our mouth. You can do things like this.
So this is already kind of reimagined, right? Modernized.
I would even call it more adapted for an unprepared user. Oh, that's me. We have a reed, we need to cut off these nodes, and we need to cut one here, and here we have a little hole. And here we cut so that this channel comes out, and now there's some fuzz inside, we clean it out. We make a cut like this, and we make a little slope, just a light one, then comes the magic. We split off the tongue like this. Oh, we split it and cut off the excess, so there's a flat surface, and we do this, chicks. Next, we make the finger holes, because it's not just about blowing into this thing, basically. You can't just drill them, because it'll crack right away. By the way, this is actually one of the first instruments I learned to make. So if you're sitting in a swamp and you're bored, you can make this thing. We can make a pipe.
Let's try it. It's interesting.
Elderberry, the most useless tree in the world. We need to remove the bark. You can do it with a knife, and it's so soft. The place for the whistle, I think, will be right here. At least I'll make someone work in the workshop. To make a whistle, leave a finger's width of space, or two if using screwdrivers. Do it like this. This is exactly where the air will come out, cut the sound, and that's where the whistling sound will come from. Now we take it and make this slope, which will cut the sound. That's the whistle itself. Next, we have the bottom, and it comes out right here at the edge. We need to make a cut, kind of like a ramp. It will direct the airflow right onto the whistle. Not quite yet, but we'll fix it now. Snip, that's it. Great, let's make this surface for the fingers. We're finishing it up so we have a proper pipe. The oil helps us make this channel inside smooth. It preserves the wood, the pipe is ready. When I was little, about 8 years old, I found a piece of tile in the village and it had this little animal on it. I restored it and made it my logo.
I'm Alina. I create modern, authentic embroidered shirts.
This story began with this shirt that I'm wearing.
My husband's grandmother gave it to me back in 2015.
I instantly fell in love with the technique. It's an old one, passed down through generations.
Grandma got it from her mother, and her mother got it from her mother. And after some time, I wanted my own red dress. Like a real girl, I came to my grandma and asked, "Can I have a red dress?" Grandma once said, "I won't give you a fish, but a fishing rod. Let me teach you." It feels like yesterday.
By profession, I am an artist designer. I bravely took on the task, and this red dress was one of the first.
I embroidered this linen piece myself. It's beautiful.
The technique here is specific. The thread needs to be pulled, and when the net is made, it is then twisted, and the pattern is laid over this net.
You mean the thread has to be pulled?
Well, for example, I will teach you today. It was a plain canvas, then I pull threads out of this canvas and make little squares from them. I twist the little squares, then lay out the pattern the clients want to appear at the end.
So this is just a plain canvas? It was a plain canvas, yes.
And you make these out of it? Yes.
It's linen, cotton, hemp. Each of these works has its own story, its own soul, its own character.
Initially, I made all the orders for myself, my children, husband, and nephews.
I see they're all dressed beautifully.
I couldn't even imagine that one day this would turn into a business. I really couldn't set a price. It's at least from 1 month to 5 months of sitting every day for 10 hours.
Up to 5 months?
This blue dress here is mine. I probably wouldn't sell it to anyone. It was also one of the first ones. It's all pulled, made, and then twisted into a pattern.
Amazing. These are cool ancient paintings.
Very few people embroider or work with them nowadays.
Solovjenivička kurjači brit tretjaz na stil posici zernovi vivit lištva.
These Ukrainian names have been passed down from our great-grandmothers.
Honestly, I thought it was somehow sewn in.
Everything is written with a needle on a clean piece of cloth, like with a paintbrush. The embroidery is done in 5 stages. I respect other techniques like cross-stitch, but with cross-stitch you just sit down, embroider, and it's done.
To succeed, you must adopt the proper mindset, remove each square accurately, and avoid mistakes as the fabric is unforgiving of errors.
Pulling the thread in the wrong place ruins the entire fabric. Fabric is quite expensive nowadays. Linen can cost up to 2,000 or even 3,000 hryvnias.
You spend months working on something and then you make a mistake.
This is just a small part of my works.
It's beautiful. There are more than 50 of them now.
So, if you take it, I started learning in 2018, around the time of the coronavirus, when there was a lot of free time, because before that I was working at the university in Lutsk. And when the coronavirus happened, then the war started, I went to Poland, and that way I still had free time. I studied and embroidered shirts for my children and friends, which they wore in public. An acquaintance saw it and asked to order one, followed by others. They inquired about the cost, but I couldn't decide on a price. Even now, I believe it's underpriced for the work I put in.
How much does a typical men's beauty treatment cost?
From 10,000 hryvnias.
From 10,000 hryvnias.
Dresses from 15.
To work on an embroidered shirt for 5 months and sell it for 10,000.
It's been longer than 5 months now. That was just the beginning.
Now I can do it in a month.
There are a lot of clients. My schedule is already booked for half a year.
The clients are from the East.
Right now I have a guy from Kherson. He has 2 daughters and he says, I want an embroidered shirt. He never even thought about it before. Now he wants it.
My shirts are already in Canada, the United States, and even the United Arab Emirates.
Poland also already has a few shirts. There are currently orders from Germany and Italy.
That's what's ahead of me, what awaits me.
I live for this. It's my inspiration, and right now it really heals me. It's active meditation. You sit, immerse yourself, and think only about good things. You charge yourself with energy, and you charge this shirt with energy too. By the way, that's how it is for me. If I have the next stage, it will be my brand, it will be embroidered thoughts. Under this hashtag on Instagram, I record all my works, embroidered thoughts, and in this way, I share them with the world.
Is this already a business or still a hobby?
No, it's already a hobby that's turning into a business because there is demand, a lot of demand. Honestly, my first clients were like, please just make it, I'll pay whatever price you say. When I start by buying a blank canvas and in the end give it to the client, I really enjoy their reaction. Because the person probably saw the blank canvas, picked out the threads together with me. And then you see the results with us every time they don't expect it.
In the details, in the little things, that's it. Well,
Pisanka painting, Kobzalaya art, and this tradition are recognized as rare not just regionally, but throughout Ukraine and worldwide.
Are these patterns authentic or?
The patterns are original, often adapted from drawings of birds or flowers, based on the clients and my own preference for interesting designs.
You can see that these are mostly botanical. As a girl, I adore flowers. Thistle, lilies, roses, colorful tulips. By the way, this shirt also won for me before the war.
Wow! I submitted my entry to the all-Ukrainian competition on a whim, just for the sake of participating.
And I got a message that I won first place.
It's really cool that it's kind of like an embroidered shirt, more or less classic, but inside it's actually modern clothing.
it is a modern embroidered shirt.
Embroidered shirts should be worn daily. Due to the war, people wear them more frequently now compared to before.
People previously wore them on Independence or Embroidery Day.
And now it's every day. Maybe that's why there are so many orders, because it's become popular.
And I want to keep popularizing it. I want to keep developing it and sharing it with our people. It's important to identify yourself in the world as a Ukrainian. It's very important.
This is the sleeve. And how do you do it? Like this, that's how it should be.
Next, the shirt is assembled from these parts. This is the second sleeve, which we'll now embroider together.
We will.
It's the simplest way. We go up step by step, twist it, and the square is already held firmly.
Yes, probably right here.
But now we need to take it out.
It'll turn out better next time. Now we're learning how to cut. This part is simple, we just cut here.
And there you need to calculate down to each square how many this pattern contains.
Yes, you need to calculate all of that.
First, the design, the drawing is created. After that, you break it down into little squares, and then you need to count how many squares you need.
You need to cut, twist, lay out, and add extra patterns, and then everything is sewn together.
Here, for example, we would cut the thread from here.
You pull it as much as you need, that thread. Here, for example, from here.
And how do you know how much you need?
I need to create the pattern design first.
This is already the first row. Usually I cut 3 by 3. My squares are always 3 by 3 threads.
With manicure scissors, they're sharp.
This is the first row. Let's continue. We skipped 3.
We cut the next 3.
If we missed, then it's not 3, but 4.
Yes, it's a canvas that doesn't forgive mistakes. That's it. You've ruined the canvas.
So, we've done it horizontally. Now we do it across, exactly the same way.
Oh, I think I made it even worse. I messed up here.
If anything, sorry clients, everything will be fine.
By the way, this is a pair. It will be a dress with these kinds of sleeves and a shirt like this. We need to copy this pattern.
Here it is on top. It looks a lot like weaving.
It intertwines.
Oh my goodness, layer by layer, layer by layer.
I watched your show about weaving, and it's really very similar.
Big looms are only there, while here it's small movements.
Right?
And get out.
And we're getting out.
Great. Now under the top one.
Under the top one, under the bottom.
Between the threads and here.
Well, great, really, that's all. It may not be perfect, but it's great for the first time.
Yes, it's not perfect. Sorry again. But you, the clients, will have one unusual cell. It will be kind of crafty.
I won't rip it out. All the others will be professional, and one will be like that.
Yes, it's really crafty. I won't rip it out. It's just there.
Where? So, Sofika, what do you think? Will you ever be interested to try it?
Well, I think so. Because I've already tried making gardeny since our Prababusnya still weaves gardeny. I'd also make vishivankas, but they're time-consuming. First comes learning, and only then will I try to get involved in art.
Do you normally wear embroidered shirts, or did you dress up just for us? No, this is how I usually dress.
This is my graduation dress.
Wow, cool.
Yeah, I asked my mom and we designed it together.
This year I graduated.
Yes, and it was very symbolic to wear it at graduation. I got tons of compliments.
Since I'm studying in Lviv, embroidered shirts have become even more useful as people there really love them and they are necessary for any celebration. I wear it and promote my mom.
It's really modern, it's stylish, it's cool.
I wanted to combine things, so that was the idea.
Conceptually, now it has a modern solution and antiquity. It's really cool. It's truly handcrafted. It's so handcrafted that you came to me because each piece is unique. There are no copies. And even if I wanted to repeat it, well, it just wouldn't be the same. Each piece will still be different.
And now about the giveaway of 2 bottles of wine from Wine Idea for the biggest donation to the fundraiser for car repairs, which is organized by my wife's brother. So the largest donation we received was 12,000 hryvnias.
It was made by Dimitro.
Dimitro, get in touch with me. Tell me your last name, and these 2 bottles will go to you.
I'm Taras, and I'm a jeweler.
Jeweler as in gold and diamonds?
Not only, also silver and other metals. Since I studied at the Lviv Academy of Arts, and there we were taught not only to work with gold, but also with black metal to forge. That's why we know how to do everything, but we don't do everything. I've been doing this for many years and I've achieved some success. I mainly work on commission, creating not only for people, but also for my hometown, Lutsk. I also created a charm with the entrance tower. The Volyn Ulyanovsky Automobilny Zavod, it was made here, assembled at the factory. There's also the klikun, and I made a bracelet as a talisman.
I'm very interested in the Volyn Ulyanovsky Automobilny Zavod. Can you describe how it looks?
It's so small.
Cool.
This is for a bracelet. It's a charm that goes on a Pandora. The first one is Lutsk Castle. I started this around 2012 or 2013. I'm already making it. Back then, Pandora was very trendy and popular, and girls would put these charms on for themselves. I looked, and they had everything there. But with Ukraine, with something like that, I thought, I'll make an entrance tower specifically for Lutsk. And I did it. People liked it and it took off, and then came the Ulyanovsky Automobilny Zavod, and then the bracelet. At our tower at 12 o'clock, the trumpeter sounds the horn and announces to the city.
My daughter really loves Pandora, but it's really just a heart. There's no connection to Ukraine. Absolutely. There are Italy, some Pisa towers, Eiffel towers, but nothing like that. Absolutely nothing.
It's like Ukraine doesn't exist, so I decided to make something like this, and people liked it.
And here is Ukraine. I see it exists.
Yes, I also made this little ring. It can fit any finger because the size is adjustable. This is for the upcoming New Year's holidays for Christmas. This is just a sketch, like a prototype. I also want to make a snow globe with the entrance tower.
Everything seems so small and insignificant.
And there are so many little things, details. And how much does this pleasure cost?
These are coins. We made them just for the Monarchs' Congress. Such coins cost 400 hryvnias. The entrance tower, the Volin woman is 800 hryvnias. The Ikliken bracelet is 1000 hryvnias.
This is already a full bracelet with everything. And is it also made of silver? Yes, it's all silver. Here is Pandora Vespa, the Eiffel Tower. What should the Ukrainian charms be made for?
It's a little piece of your homeland that's always with you wherever you are. The world seems so big, and at the same time it's so small. And when you go abroad, wherever you are, especially now in our situation, our people have been scattered everywhere, all over the world. And when it's hard for you, when you feel uncomfortable, when you're in pain, you just look at your hand, at your wrist, and you're home. You feel that a piece of your home is with you.
And how long does it take to make something like this?
The longest part is making the first one, like the first model, the first prototype. That can take a week or more, even 2 weeks working on just one. But then when you start producing them in batches, they get made much faster.
And has there been an increase in demand for our own things for Volynyanka since the full-scale invasion started?
Of course. I'll say even more, people now want more of their own, something local. Not even just Ukrainian, but something local. He already looks at his own craftsman, the one here in the region. He searches, he's interested in that. And regarding jewelry, at first, as soon as the war started, the demand dropped. And then it increased because people still need some emotions. And because of that, they started buying, and the market went up a bit. And you give yourself a gift, you even do something nice for your wife or child, make a small souvenir, and it feels good for you and for them. And for a moment, you forget about all those troubles.
And it's nice that you support your own local producers?
Yes, that feels good as well. Well, you can buy Pandora, or you can buy something that's made here.
Of course, in the neighboring building, it has its own history, especially since you walk through those places and you see it in real life. This was made just for you. And when you work, whether you want to or not, you think about your client so that they like it. You know them, you talk to them before the order, you make some adjustments. And it's yours, your thing, it lives through you, and you live through it. That's why it turns out to be so sensitive. When the war started, I was with the soldiers. They gave me shell casings from the front, and I made these columns. I insert bullets, rock to pass.
Wow, that's an interesting piece of jewelry.
Military people wear them. There were a lot of orders. Not every jewelry store wants to take them because they'll just sit there for a long time and only a few people will buy them. They look at how to mass produce the work, so it sells faster, kind of like mass production, to keep the turnover going.
But here we're coming from a completely different approach.
We make something small and unique so it doesn't get repeated. Every person wants to be an individual, and everyone wants to have something unique in this world that no one else has. That's exactly what we build on, and that's how we move forward, work, and create. Especially since we live in a place that inspires us.
I know that we're actually in a city where it's not just you sitting here. Yes. Can we have a little tour? Where, what, how?
Of course, I'd be happy to give you one. We're in a magical dungeon. That's what we call it. There are not only creative masters here, but also good people. And now I'll introduce them to you.
I'm Vlad, and I make leather goods. There are two directions: wallets, handbags, and a more interesting one. I'm Vlad, and I make accessories for bondage and discipline, dominance and submission, sadism and masochism. Leather masks, handcuffs.
It's more interesting. I agree.
These are bondage and discipline, dominance and submission, sadism and masochism things, right?
Bondage and discipline, dominance and submission, sadism and masochism things. Let's talk about this in more detail.
I started making simple items, wallets, covers, but then I began to develop in another direction, a more interesting one that evokes more emotions in people.
Listen, but is there a demand for them?
Do people buy them? Is it to attract attention? Or is it really a product that people need?
It's best as a gift. It's definitely more interesting to give handcuffs, a mask as a set, maybe with some kind of hint for the person you like, than just a wallet. 100%. This gift allows you to express a great deal. Absolutely. For now, I sell more of these regular items, but I've only been doing this for about half a year. I found a model that works for me. I make the products and I bring them to sex shops on consignment. And when people come in, they can touch them, look at them, and compare them with different products from China. To understand that the products are really high quality, go ahead.
And I'll film you.
Well, nice. Let's go.
The main benefit of making these items myself is that if something breaks, such as the fittings, I can repair it. Service is always available to bring in and replace anything. Unlike in China, where the seller in a sex shop clearly won't repair it, it's just a disposable item that you'll throw away.
And how much does such pleasure cost?
The pleasure is cheaper than the Chinese counterparts, costing 690 hryvnias.
690 hryvnias? That's very inexpensive. Musik, come here. Let's check. All right, go on, go. Have fun. Let's do it all the way. Okay.
Now you're the producer.
Musik, you've shown a different side of yourself.
There are also these little keychains. Wow, look, handmade journeys. What, did you prepare for this? Well, of course, yes. For example, you have keys. Yes, you lost them. That's a big problem. If someone finds them, they don't know how to find their owner. But if, for example, you put something on the keychain, like a phone number, or maybe a link to your Instagram.
Or an address, the address and when you're not home.
Right. And when someone finds the keys, at least they can write or call. Because if you lose all your keys, well, I have about 5 keys. It's a big problem. You can't get home or to work, and replacing them all takes money, time, and causes trouble. But this way, at least there's a theoretical chance that someone will call you and return them.
I'm Vadim, and I work with artistic glass. I work with artistic glass in the context of my life, in this workshop. This is stained glass as a form of art, as a decorative material in interiors and exteriors. Most often you can simply see it, so that it is easily accessible. These are cultural buildings in Ukraine, at least in the city of Lutsk. Yes, usually we work with private design studios. We create projects together and implement them in private estates, in apartments, in various spaces that are used for decoration.
I just know that stained glass is super expensive and actually really hard to make.
Yes, actually that's the thing. The main difficulty with it in this new approach is the material it's made from. It's the glass itself because it's expensive to produce. A complex technology is used. Even the brands of glass I use come from overseas, from the States. Isn't that right?
So is this some kind of unusual glass?
The difficulty lies in its production. And moreover, that factory, which is American, simply has its own patented types of glass. They have about 150 shades and a lot of variety.
And nobody makes anything like that here, right?
Ukraine still had Soviet-style factories that produced more of the blown, transparent, bottle-type glass. And they lived in this format until a certain period, probably until independence, maybe the 2000 SR. Like many others destroyed during that time, these factories were closed down. There are glass factories now that produce various products, but they are mostly focused on industry. Poland produces items similar to what we had during the Soviet era. I visited them and still have some of their mostly transparent samples left. I can show you now as they are different.
Go ahead, that's interesting.
It comes in sheets like this, has certain markings, and the main thing is that it has this kind of haze. And those streaks are in it. Yeah, you won't find the same craft from the keyboard, so it's all in this internal pattern. It's completely different. There's also a color there that is identical. It has its own markings, but now I am using this large glass surface. And after that, when I have my sketch that I have approved, either with the client or with the design studio, we move on to creating these small, detailed stained glass pieces that we make.
Damn, it says made in Mexico, so it came here from halfway across the world.
This is the highest quality glass available, with prices starting at $300 and potentially going higher. Is that per meter, per square meter, a bright red shade? It uses gold oxides, and that's why it costs that much. The price adds up. It's the same grading here. He made the base shade. I created darker in the center and lighter at the edge, creating a spherical effect.
Wow, I'm looking at this. Is this a church? Yes.
Yes, this is a church in Lutsk, nearby, on the outskirts of the city, and now it's been completed. This is one of my first large-scale projects. It's a big window, over 6 meters high and 3 meters wide. It's quite a large and impressive project.
That must have cost a lot.
We combined samples from my own collection, top-quality American pieces, and Chinese samples to create cheaper options when there's a task, opportunity, or need. The main thing about stained glass basically is the play of color and light. When it fits into the interior, it's really cool, especially when it interacts with that interior. It's not merely about placing an object there for it to stand alone, even if it's nice and cool. This lamp casts a light that appears completely different on our faces. Did you study stained glass somewhere? Yes, well, first there was an art school when I was a child. There was a specialized college with a painting focus, which is related since painting can be monumental easel and has different directions. Actually, at a certain period when we were studying at the college, we got acquainted with that technique. Of course, there was more use of some kind of imitation techniques, but what really fascinated me back then was what I mentioned, the amazing play of color and light. When you're an artist, you realize how much fun you can have with it. And it's like this play, this inner fun, it kind of balances things out nicely, but over time it helps you develop, reveal, and give fullness to the space you're in, how you see it, with your own unique perspective.
I understand this type of stained glass. It's similar to a mosaic where you cut pieces out of large sheets of glass, right? From the big ones. And it's put together. The composition is formed, like this one here.
But this one is three-dimensional. Do you have to bend the glass, or how does that work?
It's a pretty simple thing. There used to be just a regular classic stained glass format like the ones you saw in big sacred cathedrals. And about 100 years ago, maybe you've heard of the Tiffany brand. There was the Tiffany family who lived, at least in the States. They worked with artistic glass and made fine jewelry. Their elder mentor, the father, decided to fully develop this very glass. He improved the technique from the classical method, which was rather rough and didn't allow for making small elements. They improved it to the Tiffany technique, which was later also called that in jewelry making. And this Tiffany technique allowed the glass not to be inserted into an N-shaped vein, but to be used differently. There is a kind of foil, like a copper tape. We take a piece of glass, and this piece of glass is wrapped around the edge in this way. And when they touch, when we put them together already formed with the copper tape, we then solder them with a regular soldering iron and make such a seam. Because these elements are small, we can make them and wrap them with this tape. We can put this thing right in the material, in the glass, onto those three-dimensional shapes. This is exactly that shape, this is exactly that stained glass. It was a larger element. It took up almost 3 meters in volume, by the way, such a thing. The pentagonal stained glass was quite elaborate and made using specifically Ukrainian blown glass. Do you have a lot of competitors in Ukraine? Tell me, please. There are, of course, in Ukraine. The main focus should be on the quality of your work, your approach, the process, and the presentation, rather than competition. It's all about the quality of the work, about how you interact in terms of deadlines, and the ability to be flexible when presenting the complexity of a particular job. And all these elements will work in your favor. No matter who says there won't be any work, that's not true. You just need to keep working and refining your timing. Because even those forms, when I first started making them, took 2 or 3 times longer to complete the project. So when you already have some of the mechanical things worked out, you can scale it up, expand it, and develop it further.
I'm Nastya and I make hoods.
What do you mean you make hoods? How does that work?
I came up with this hobby because I snowboard and I needed something cool like a balaclava, but not as boring as a regular one. So I came up with making these soft, really comfy hoods that fit over a helmet, or you can wear them underneath to make it more comfortable. And actually I made the first one for myself in this ginger color, and after that I thought, why not offer this to other people too? My mom helps with this business by hand sewing everything herself. I assist with adjustments and handle all other aspects except the sewing. It's a small production like this from a brand called Klunok. Huh. Yes, they are. You can untie it. There are different ways to do it. This is for the helmet, so it fits on, right? Yes, that's why it's so big. But actually, I came up with this so I could snowboard, and then I started wearing it with a jacket that didn't have a hood. It's like, it's cool, and it just easily became part of my daily routine, and people even started getting clothes without hoods, and that's super awesome.
Listen, it's so strange, such a weird idea. How did you believe in it enough to make one thing, just one item for yourself?
Well, actually, I think that when I believe in something myself, then someone else can believe in it too. That's why I really like it, this hood and its functionality and all that. My friends encouraged me too, saying, well, go ahead, Nastya, take action.
And that's how it started, little by little. There will be other models with ears, with hair. I mean, as I understand it, when you're riding, first of all, so that you can be seen to stand out from everyone else and to attract attention. It's cool, but it can be even cooler.
Maybe. I often get that kind of request, but for some reason, I move away from it. I don't like it and I don't want to do it. I think it might be trivial, which is why I don't want to do it. Anything can happen in life, though.
It's a very strange thing. Very strange, but there's something about it, like really, it looks cool. Cool, right? There's a kind of mirror there. It even feels warm, you know, pleasant. It's not like anyone else. Cool, go ahead, do it. Cool, I like this.
Thank you very much.